We're already months into the second generation of the Nintendo Switch, and I sometimes forget how revolutionary it really was. A handheld console that can be docked seamlessly to your TV, but most of all, the detachable controllers from the console itself that can be connected wirelessly and can even be used as separate controllers for co-op play. The Joy-Cons were instrumental in showing the world that Nintendo still had some tricks up its sleeve after its disastrous era of the Wii U. From TV to on the go just like that was definitely amazing, don't get me wrong. But actually sharing and showing the Nintendo Switch experience by sliding out the Joy-Cons and passing it over to your sibling, parent, or even just anybody on the street was truly magical. But sadly, just like any decent fantasy story, magic comes with a cost. And the most obvious and crippling of which was ergonomics. To help sell the entire co-op experience, they had to make the Joy-Cons as symmetrical as possible, from its overall shape to the button layout. And voila! The flat slab we've come to know and love. And after all these years, it boggles the mind why Nintendo hasn't released a first-party ergonomic Joy-Con replacement yet. And they left that entire market for other companies to fill. It's almost like they don't want to admit that the Nintendo Switch is flawed in any way. Sound familiar? So over the years, I've been in the search of the perfect Joy-Con replacement, and I just wanted to share some of those with you. The good, the bad, the questionable, and the one for keeps. Quick disclaimer by the way guys, this video isn't sponsored. Oh how I wish. These controllers are my own, and I purchased them with my own money. So yeah. The first grip I fell in love with was the original Satisfy Pro Gaming Grip. This was a pretty big deal for me because it was the first time I ever felt comfortable holding the Switch itself whenever I had a gaming session or two. It really set the bar really high in terms of comfort and ergonomics. It had these really generous and spacious hand grips, which really made it easy to grab onto. And what made the Satisfy Pro Gaming Grip really special was that it had an asymmetrical design where the right grip was angled slightly so that it would be a lot easier for you to touch and reach both the joystick and the face buttons on the right side. It's kind of weird at first, but then after a while you really get used to it, and it's really just an overall comfortable experience. Another pro for the Satisfy Grip was that it was a purely additive experience where you just have to attach it to the Switch system itself, and you don't have to give up any of the Joy-Cons features to do so. One of the cons though is that you're stuck with the Joy-Cons. So whatever issues the Joy-Cons may have, you will still have those issues. Another downside for the older Satisfy Pro Gaming Grips was that you couldn't dock your Switch while you were using the grip itself. So every time you wanted to dock the system, you would have to keep removing the grip, which thankfully Satisfy has been improving the design where you would be able to dock the system while the grips were attached. I've been meaning to get the newer versions for this one, but I never really got around to do it. I might actually just get a Satisfy grip for my Switch Lite, since I've really been spending a lot of time using it, and I love it a lot, but extra ergonomics won't hurt. Okay, now this is the RetroFly Controller, which was my first cradle-type solution, where you replace the Joy-Cons entirely and just slide the Switch tablet into the controller just like a dock. What makes this special is the GameCube aesthetic, including the adorable C-Stick, which I love by the way. But the unexpected feature of the RetroFly is that it has Hall effect joysticks, meaning that they're not susceptible to drift. I just love the overall shape of the RetroFly controller with that gentle sweeping curve coming from the top, making the overall shape of the Switch smaller and more compact, but then extends outward slightly at the bottom to help create additional handholds for a more comfortable grip. One of the major advantages of having a cradle-style grip is that you get that unibody design wherein you have that solid feel, similar to that of the Switch Lite. The other features of the RetroFly controller of course include a D-pad and full-size face buttons, which include the turbo function and button remapping. I also love the added touch of using soft felt lining where the controller makes contact with the Switch. Now, a downside to the RetroFly controller is that while it does have USB-C charging pass-through, it can't be used as a dock. So the RetroFly controller is a pure handheld first solution. Other features you'll be missing out on would be the NFC reader and the IR camera. So what I love about this is that it's simple, clean, and it just works. Now, coming from the simplicity of the RetroFly, we have to talk about the Nitro Deck Plus from Cracked. Now, where to even begin? The Nitro Deck Plus is just overkill in almost every way. Let's start with the size of this thing. True to its name, the Nitro Deck Plus looks like the Steam Deck's cute but still hulking little brother. Using this thing brought moments when I honestly forgot that I was using my Switch. Aside from its sheer size, the Nitro Deck Plus adds 6 buttons to the mix. 4 back buttons and 2 sidekick buttons, which can be programmed for turbo, macros, and remapped using the Cracked app. Other features include a kickstand, a lock mechanism, a wired controller mode, and a built-in dock functionality. Oh, it has Hall Effect joysticks too, by the way. Okay, now, the first issue I have is that while it is so much bigger and chunkier than all the controllers that I have, I don't get the grip that I'm looking for from a controller this big. This is where I was really hoping that they would lean a lot more towards the Steam Deck, since the Steam Deck is the most comfortable and ergonomic handheld that I own. This was definitely a missed opportunity. Since you're going big, why not go that big? Is all I'm saying. Second issue is that the USB-C port location is just so awkward, having it so high up at the nape of the console. Every time I charged my Switch, I felt like I was plugging Neo into the Matrix. I totally get that the bottom portion of the controller houses the locking mechanism, but I was just really hoping for a bit more elegant solution. There could have been a way, you know? Now, the main issue I have with the Nitro Deck Plus is the button and joystick placement. With my hands on the Nitro Deck Plus with a full grip, there is no possible way for me to reach every single button available to me without having to shift my hands awkwardly, making the grip and other buttons useless, or at the very least, difficult to reach. It took me a while to find a comfortable way to use this controller, and it ended up being a weird claw grip that I don't know, it's just a hybrid between a full grip and a claw grip. I really had high hopes for this one because I was really hoping it would at least emulate the grip of a Steam Deck. And even though this isn't for me right now, I'm still kind of rooting for Cracked because I really enjoy, or at the very least, it's really interesting how they're taking things. So I really do hope that they come out with a new version wherein these issues can be addressed. Okay, next is the Hori SplitPad Compact. Now, the fun thing about the Hori SplitPad Compact is that it comes in all different colors and special editions. I have the Gengar edition right here because my wife is a huge fan of Gengar, and the color scheme is pretty awesome. Just like the Joy-Cons, they slide into both ends of the console, making it compatible with all Switch models exactly. While the SplitPad Compact does make the Switch wider overall, you do get a full-size D-pad, face buttons, and back buttons on each side, which are programmable. The limitation though is that you can only program the back button with a button that is on the same controller. And even though you do get full-size joysticks, sadly these aren't Hall Effect joysticks. I particularly like the subtle bump they provide, which surprisingly adds quite a bit of comfort when using the Switch. I'm also a fan of the textured finish on the back for added grip. My biggest disappointment with the Hori SplitPad Compact is that while it is individually detachable, it doesn't support wireless play since it relies on the Switch mainly for power. Aside from not being wireless, you're missing out on rumble, motion controls, NFC reader, and the IR camera, so basically most of the functions are missing. It really sucks because the SplitPad Compact probably has my favorite face buttons and D-pad overall. And finally, this is the Mobad M6 HD. I'm pretty sure you've already seen a lot of reviews for this one. And guys, this is definitely for keeps. And here's why. The Mobad M6 HD is the most comfortable Joy-Con replacement I've ever owned. And it surprisingly managed to include every feature you had on your original Joy-Cons. Minus the IR camera, but honestly, you won't be missing that much. When I mentioned earlier that I was surprised that Nintendo didn't make a Switch Pro controller, but split it in half, boom, Joy-Con Pros. Mobapad's M6 HD is probably the closest we're ever gonna get to those Joy-Con Pros. These just feel amazing in the hands, with its generous, almost bulbous handholds, and with a textured finish that wraps around the entire grip. And one attention to detail that I really appreciate is that the controllers are perfectly flushed with the console, unlike the SplitPad Compact. And the plastic finish closely matches the plastic of the Switch itself. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close, which lends to the idea even more that this could possibly even be a first-party product. Another thing I love is its clean, sleek, and minimalistic design, where you can't even spot a single screw. A trick that's made possible with the use of detachable magnetic faceplates. Mine came with extra white faceplates, but I'm already happy with the black aesthetic. Other than the faceplates, you can also switch out the D-pad and the thumbsticks. The thumbsticks are Hall effect joysticks as well, by the way. Much like the SplitPad Compact, the Mobad M6 HD also has remappable back buttons and a turbo function. But what also sets it apart is that it uses Omron micro switches, making them the most addictive buttons to press, with that silicone membrane cushioning each click. I just really love these controllers because you're not giving up any of the Joy-Con's functionality, none that really matter anyway, and just elevates the entire experience to a whole new level. And like I said, the Mobad M6 HD is definitely the endgame Joy-Con replacement for me. And honestly, the only drawback, if anything, is that it can get a bit loud with the Omron switches, but they're really not that bad. And even though you are giving up the portability for the ergonomics, it's worth it. Well, that's it for me. How did you guys survive the Joy-Cons? Got any horror stories? Or maybe even recommendations that I didn't get to or I didn't even think about getting? Comment down below and let's talk about it. I've actually been meaning to talk about these controllers for a while now, and now that it's done, I am so relieved. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave a like and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. We just hit 1,000 subscribers over the last few days, and I can't thank you guys enough. It's still pretty crazy to me that we've come this far, but stick around, let's see how far we go. Thanks again guys, and I'll see you in the next video.